Warning. This podcast episode contains swearing and drinking. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, and welcome to Demons and Bellinis, the podcast where we whip up a drink and talk about spooky shit. I put the suck in succubus. Molly.
And I'm that Pennywise/reader fanfic that made you uncomfortable, but also really aroused. Ashley.
We were sending each other Pennywise/reader stuff because I don't know how we started this conversation, but I had no idea that they made you aroused.
No, I did.
We were talking about Wattpad because she went. I don't know. We were talking about some really.
For those of you who don't know, I am a fanfic writer, but whatever. So I use Wattpad, and I went onto my feed and I saw. Oh, let me just find the title here. 1 second.
I feel like Stephen King was kind of asking for Pennywise to be sexualized because he sexualizes all of his characters. I literally found this line when I was rereading it. Something along the lines of her nipples hardened in fear.
Well, that's just Stephen King.
That's just Stephen
all
King
of his
being
books
a...
are like that. He's a horny man. But so I was on my Wattpad feed, my homepage. I don't know why this was recommended to me. I really don't. Please don't think that I pursue these passions.
They already think that you're a monster fucker.
Y'all are misconstruing my image. Anyways, so I see this, probably what I can only say is a great read, called Master, a Pennywise X Reader 16+.
I hate everything about that. Stop picking up my fucking mic.
Your name, such a positive girl full of love, attracts the wicked Pennywise in his weakest state. Love, after all, smells so much more. Love, after all, smells so much more delicious than fear.
So that was a background to our intro today.
Put that clown fucking pillow away!
It's too bad this isn't a body pillow.
Molly just produced a pillow that has the image of Pennywise from the 2017 film.
Yeah, played by Bill Skarsgård. My lovely pen pal B, I love you B, she sent me this pillowcase cover, so now I just have Pennywise staring at me.
Were you resting on that when I sent you these great descriptions?
Maybe I was. I could have been. I hope I was. Anyway, what are we talking about today, Ashley?
Oh!
Back on track. Our last episode went way off the rails, so let's try to stay on track.
Sorry, I was just looking at more descriptions I sent you. Alright, so today we will be discussing the story of Helen Duncan. So grab a beverage of your choosing, get cozy, and check your closet for Ryan Gosling. And remember to stay peachy. Guess what, Molly?
What?
We got our first viewer story.
Fuck yeah! You told me about this. I was really excited about this. I haven't heard this yet.
So, you guys are 100% welcome to send us your stories or cases that you know about that you would love for us to dig into and ruin with our...
Dig our dirty little claws in there.
Horrible sexual jokes. So you can send them to the, our official, social medias,
our email,
demonsandbellinis@gmail.com, or if you don't want to do that, you can also find our separate ones. This one was sent to my personal Tumblr, Ghost Kid with 2 S's. Or you can find Molly at Pathetic Fallacy. How do you...
I think it was 2 with 2 eyes.
Two eyes and a dash.
Or you could just send it to Demons and Bellinis.
That makes
honestly.
it seem a lot more easier.
Yeah. You can find us
Send
somewhere.
us stuff.
It's not very hard to find people on the internet these days.
If you're listening to this, you found us.
Congratulations.
We take 50% refunds.
So yeah, let's dig our paws into this reader story.
Yeah, so this story was sent to me by Rainstorm67 on Tumblr. Thank you so much. So I'm basically just going to read it how they sent it to me.
Okay.
Because they sent me a very long message.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Whoop.
So they start their story by saying, in the 3rd grade, there is a bunch of tall pine trees, the ones with branches way high up and thick branches, so little light gets through. These are on the other side of a chain link fence around the playground, and the place almost all of us like to go to, because it gave such creepy vibes. On some trees, I remember there being these drippy red X's, which were probably paint, but back then some older kids convinced me that it was blood or had some dark meaning.
Right.
Like marking a murder site or something.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, about 100 or so feet away, there was this run-down, moss and vine-covered cabin. For the most part, it was just creepy to look at, all shadows and abandonment, but sometimes the rocking chair on the porch would rock. A few kids said that they saw someone through the window, presumably an old lady, despite no one living there. It only added to my suspicions when the teacher aides got upset with us for constantly staring out at the little cabin. No one climbed the fence or anything, no one even tried, and maybe they just wanted to prevent that, but maybe something else. Nothing spectacular ever really happened, but about a decade has passed, and I still remember that creepy cabin with the old rocking chair and the red X's. Yeah.
I like that story.
It's a very cool story.
Yeah, no, like, I had a lot of experiences like that in elementary school as well. Like, I think there's something very special about children and their imaginations.
Yeah.
Because when I was little, I convinced myself that I was a fairy. And I used to, like, play around with my friends and just, like, think that we were fairies. It was really fun.
Yeah.
But, like, yeah, I mean, like, we had, like, this, it was, like, the second stall bathroom, I think it was.
Oh, there's always a stall in the bathroom that's haunted.
Exactly. Bloody Mary.
Every single school I went to had a haunted stall.
Yeah, exactly.
And you never went into that stall.
Exactly, yeah.
There was only one school I ever went to where it actually felt really uncomfortable to, like, be in that stall.
Yeah, there's always a haunted stall in the girls' bathroom.
Yeah.
And, like, my friend told me the Bloody Mary story. I still don't like the...
I hate the Bloody Mary
I still don't... We have the mirror right there.
Sorry.
No one likes the Bloody Mary story, right? It's creepy. Our lights are on. We're safe.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like, that... Like, the whole idea of like, my friend telling me ghost stories when I was a kid is what made me so scared of horror movies for so long.
Yeah.
I got jump scared by the girl from The Exorcist, by my asshole friend. I shouldn't say asshole friend. By my friend who wanted to see me suffer. And, yeah, when I went to, like, other schools, I'd see, like, little marks of, like, red paint, and I'd be like, oh, it's blood. But
yeah.
I think I really like that story. And we also, like, had this, burnt down house, from across where I went to elementary school, and we had this, like... little tale that was like this, like, someone saw this girl with black hair in the window. I'm sure that they didn't, but
yeah,
not to discredit.
That sounds
them
a
or
lot
anything.
like The Grudge.
It was a lot like The Grudge. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that some parent let their kid watch The Grudge, and yeah, and like I mentioned this before, in my old neighborhood, we also had like this abandoned house that a lot of people made like ghost stories about. But like no, I find the idea of like childhood ghost stories very interesting because I think that's kind of like a miniature version of what we see in like stuff like 50 Berkeley Square.
Yeah.
And like this stuff that kind of gets like blown out of proportion and stuff that turns out probably starting as fiction turning into something more. There was actually this one story that I was looking at doing, which was this specter who would appear in this graveyard. It was also in London, I think. It was a Victorian era sort of thing. And they found out that it was actually this guy who was just dressed up. Who was having a good time.
Oh, it's like all those vampire cases in the 60s and 70s to 80s in London. They had a big problem with people like vandalizing their cemeteries and stuff like that because they believed that there were vampires there.
Yeah. No, I think that's very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing. Mm-hmm. I love going off on tangents about how like...
It also makes me think about how like kids are... I do believe in the theory that kids are a lot more in tune to the paranormal
100%,
than like teenagers and even like adults are, because like like, you hear all those stories about kids where they just say stuff or they do things, and you're kind of like, what the fuck? Right? But it's kind of like, the kids don't just say shit. I mean, well, no, kids do just say shit. But, like, a lot, like, those, like...
They have a thought process behind it.
Yeah,
kids aren't stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not.
And you should, like, never insult a kid's intelligence by, like, dumbing things down if they ask you about something, right? Because, like, if they're asking you about it, they already know about it, right? So, I mean, don't be, like, you know, brushing it off. Still, like, talk to the kid about it. Like, don't go into the gory details, but, like, don't insult the kid's intelligence if they're asking you about, like, you know, a death or something.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I really like that story. Yeah. Why was there a cabin by your school? I'm very curious. Was there anyone who lived there, or was it just like an abandoned place?
They said it was abandoned.
Why didn't... I mean, okay. We have that one street that has all those boarded up houses.
Oh, you mean,
yeah.
the Ioko Ghost Town?
Not the Ioko... I mean, that one too. That one's really wild.
I like the Ioko Ghost Town.
I know.
It's actually not scary.
It's not scary at all. I just really like driving by it. When I was little, I used to think that it was just like they boarded it up because, like, you know, sometimes they board up schools.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like that, but no, it's just an abandoned school. So I guess I can understand why they wouldn't lock that down. But no, it's talking about and how there's all those houses that are boarded up, and like I would say, why haven't they knocked down those houses? But it's very expensive to do so I can understand.
You mean like a block away from my place?
Yeah.
Right. Those houses.
They've been boarded up for like...
I've heard most people be like their drug houses.
Yeah. For like 10 years. Like, they've been boarded up for like 10 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, thank you so much for sharing. I really like that story. I like the idea of children just like making up shit, because we don't
do
places.
That anymore. It kind of gets sucked out of you in like high school, where it's like you just have to like, where it's like, face the facts, and that's like, it makes me so sad.
It's more fun to believe
It makes me
ghosts.
really sad. It's more fun to believe in ghosts. It's more fun to believe that Ryan Gosling landed on the moon. It's more fun to believe that, you know, there are aliens and that they're, you know...
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Like, the first time that I got into witchcraft, I was 12 years old, and I was playing with my friend, and we were like, this is a way to make our fantasy a reality. And that's how I initially got into something that really changed my life, and something that I really enjoy to this day. I've spent a lot of money on crystals.
Yeah.
Damn.
And, like, I kind of, like, for me, writing is that escape now, because it's, like, I can't, you know, just, act these things out, or I can't, like, you know, play pretend anymore, so I write.
Yeah.
And, like, basically create the worlds that I used to as a kid.
Yeah. It's a way to continue that, and I think that's very special. So, yeah, thank you so much, Rain.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, we love you.
And now on to my main story. So, today I'm going to tell you the story of Helen Duncan. And I figured, because I talk so much shit about psychics and mediums on this podcast, I should tell a story about a psychic.
Oh, hell yeah. I love this. Seduce me with your tarot cards.
But it's probably going to end up me being more talking shit, because this story is absolutely fucking ridiculous.
I mean, I feel like in our last couple episodes, we've kind of put a damper on all of these ghost stories.
This one, there will be images to go with this episode, because I can't really put into words what the fuck I'm looking at. The best way I can describe some of this, it just looks like someone threw up a condom. So, there will be images. Go check them out on our Twitter at Bellinis and our Instagram at Demons and Bellinis.
I feel like using the words throw up and condom together, it's not a very good way to promote our Twitter and our Instagram.
I don't know how else to explain what this image I'm going to show you in like 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm excited.
Okay.
Okay.
So Helen Duncan, she was a spiritualist and a medium in Britain. Going back to Britain again.
Just been here for the last 3 episodes.
Yeah. We promise we'll move away from Britain.
Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah, episode 13, that's going to be a wild one.
And what do you have planned?
I don't have anything planned yet.
So she was a spiritualist and a medium in Britain in the early 1900s. She was born in 1897 in Callander, Scotland, to a cabinet maker. And so she traveled around Britain and has been called, quote, a showwoman, because not only was she a very good medium, but she could produce the form of dead people by emitting what some people would call a cloud-like substance from her mouth. And these forms could touch and speak to people at seances, and she would hold these seances at private homes and spiritualist churches. So the substance that I'm going to be referring to a lot that
looks like a thrown-up condom.
Yeah, is ectoplasm. I'm going to show you a great photo, Molly. You ready for this?
Oh, I have actually seen that image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. That does look like a thrown-up condom.
So the image I'm referring to,
A thrown-up used condom.
yeah, I will be posting this on Twitter and Instagram. It's the first photo of a man sitting down and his head is bowed, and there looks like white,
gooey,
gross things coming out of his nose.
Yeah.
So, Google's definition of ectoplasm is, quote, a supernatural viscous substance that is supposed to exude from the body of a medium during a spiritualistic trance and form the material for the manifestation of spirits.
Oh, so it only comes out of mediums?
Yes.
Supposedly? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's specifically just been associated with mediums. Things like supernatural horror movies make it seem like it's like ghost jizz, but it's not.
Yeah, Supernatural really led me astray.
Yeah, they fucked you up.
It's not the first time they've led me astray. Fucking got renewed for a 15th season. Are you fucking kidding me?
Let it die. But, yeah, so most often ectoplasm comes out of a medium or a psychic. So Helen, she did these seances, and she was known for working with spirit guides in the sense of, like, like, we kind of talked about this before, where it's, like, just ghosts that appear to, like, kind of talk to people or guide people towards loved ones and stuff like that, not in the indigenous sense. Yeah,
like in our World War One episode, yeah.
So one of the ghosts, or the guides, was a child named Peggy. And Peggy would physically appear during seances. In 1933, during one of these seances in Edinburgh, though, a police officer got up and tried to grab Peggy.
And Peggy. Skylar sisters. Sorry, I just had to make that joke. I was waiting for my moment, so.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The officer realized that Peggy was pieces of underwear. So Helen Duncan was arrested and fined £10 for fraud, but she was back at work performing seances less than 2 months later. I'm going to show you a photo of Peggy.
I can't wait to see Peggy. Same. That's a lot.
Do you want to see another photo of Peggy?
Yeah, I do. I don't mean to insult anyone's intelligence from that era, but really?
I mean, to be fair, after World War I and World War II, so many people were desperate, right? They lost so many people. And, like, how do you cope with that, right?
That's fair, yeah.
So, I mean, a lot of people, unfortunately, took advantage of that. And they did some, pretty... That's why it was, like, Helen's story shows how big of a deal fraud among mediums was, right? Because you're taking advantage of people who are grieving. Mm-hmm. So, the photos that I just showed Molly of Peggy, they will also, again, Twitter and Instagram.
Sorry, don't turn it off.
I need to clear my throat. They're on Twitter and Instagram. They appear to be what looks like some fabric thing, figure.
Puppet?
Coming out of Miss Duncan's nose. And it has the face of a person, but it looks a lot like paper mache.
Yeah. Kind of looks like something out of, like, Jigsaw.
A little bit, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. With the nose.
Yeah. So after she was arrested and fined, she did a series of tests for the National Laboratory of Psychical Research and its director/founder, Harry Price. So Price, he had exposed a number of mediums for fraud, but he did believe that some mediums were actually genuine, such as D.D. Home and Espua Palladino, who Price thought produce, like, genuine mental and physical phenomena. So I decided to do some, like, just a little quick digging into who Home and Palladino were. D.D. Home, or Daniel Douglas Home, was a Scottish psychical medium with the reported ability to levitate to a variety of heights, speak with the dead, and produce rapping/knocks or in houses at will. And he was born in 1833 and he died in 1886. I thought it was interesting that he could levitate. I don't know how.
They don't make psychics like that anymore. At least not that I've heard of.
And Espio Palladino was an Italian spiritualist psychic medium. She claimed to possess extraordinary powers such as the ability to levitate tables, communicate with the dead, most notably through her spirit guide, John King. And she was born in 1854 and died in 1918.
Interesting.
So she did a bunch of tests with Price, but Price didn't really, expose her as anything. I guess maybe he thought she was genuine. So after that, she made contact, this is Duncan, she made contact with a spirit who died on the HMS Barham, Yes. which sunk in the Mediterranean in 1941. This is a big deal, though, because this is during World War II. And
right.
The HMS Barham was a Royal Navy ship.
Right.
So the sinking of this ship was hidden by the British government for months after it happened because 861 British sailors had been killed by a German U-boat. Mm-hmm. This would have been a huge blow to morale, which is why it was covered up. So she spoke about, she spoke with this sailor, this dead sailor, and then she publicly spoke about it before the War Office confirmed it.
Right.
So this made, everyone be like, what the fuck? Because, during a war, you can't, especially during World War II, you couldn't talk about these things because that would make you look like a spy, or that would, that could release information to the enemy that you didn't want out there,
right? Kind
of thing. So this made people start, particularly the British government and police, start watching her very closely. So on the night of January 19th, 1944, one of Helen's seances was raided by police. A plainclothes policeman was present. He blew the signal, and a whole bunch of other officers burst in.
Yeah.
One officer, he attempted to grab the ectoplasm coming out of Helen, and that brought it to the end, but the seance to an end. But the police officer somehow lost the ectoplasm. He grabbed onto it, and in my notes it's just slipped out like fucking soap. Gone. I hate that sound. Stop it. Stop.
Okay, I'll stop.
So, although nothing else incriminating was found other than the ectoplasm, Duncan, along with 3 others who had arranged the seance, Ernest and Elizabeth Homer and Francis Brown, they were all taken to Portsmouth Magistrates' Court and arraigned on charges of conspiracy. So things are going to get really law here on in.
Okay.
It gets a little bit a lot of acts and a lot of you're charged with this, or you're charged with that.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. It's kind of believed that the real reason that Helen's seance was raided was because of the kind of fear around the upcoming D-Day Normandy landings.
Right.
And the fear that she might reveal more military information that they really didn't want out there because, as we all know, D-Day was successful, but if they had known about it, it might not have been. So
that's actually kind of interesting because, as well, this kind of goes into the history of Wicca, which I'm not personally a Wiccan.
Yeah.
I just kind of know about the faith because that's kind of all you can find out there. But there was actually this very well recorded ritual that was conducted by the founder of Wicca, Gerald Gardner, where he went out into the woods with his coven. And they did this massive spell that apparently a couple of people died during. Ew. To keep the Germans away from Britain.
Wow.
From crossing the sea.
Yeah.
It's this massive huge energy ritual.
Huh.
That
that's interesting.
I don't know, I just found that kind of relevant because it's interesting how paranormal stuff and history and wars kind of go together.
It definitely seems here in this case. Well, it's you didn't know during World War II that you didn't know who's a spy and who's not, right?
Yeah.
And it's even if you you have to ask the question, how did she know, right? And if you really believe that she heard it from a ghost or she somehow got that information, that's right, for the British government,
right? Yeah.
Before this, a police officer, not the one who grabbed the ectoplasm, another one, apparently showed a lot of police officers at these seances, had
fucking crashing the party.
He had gone to her seance and had suspected her of fraud, and then that led to her being raided. It's also important to note that this happened in Portsmouth, and Portsmouth was the home port of the Royal Navy. So, after her first hearing, she was refused bail and held at Holloway Prison in London for 4 days until her case was resumed in Portsmouth. So first, she was charged with the Vagrancy Act of 1824, which makes it an offense to, quote, sleep, rough, or beg, and then amended the charge to a conspiracy charge. Which I think the Vagrancy Act is kind of lame, but yeah. It basically makes it illegal to be homeless.
Yeah. That's odd that they would charge her with that.
I know, it doesn't make sense. It's kind of like they were just searching for something to charge her with.
Yeah.
But I mean, you can kind of see where she is, like, you had to pay money to sit at these seances.
Right, yeah.
But then they amended it to a conspiracy charge. So when the case was then moved to the Central Criminal Courts, here's where it gets exciting.
Nice.
The Witchcraft Act of 1735 was cited. This is not a good thing.
I know. I just, anytime you say witchcraft, I'm going to be excited.
Helen was accused of, quote, pretending to exercise or use a kind of conjuration through the agency of herself. Spirits of deceased persons should appear to be present. That's some convoluted English. Basically, it means that she was pretending to use, like, conjuration to allow for spirits to appear.
I kind of want to hear that Witchcraft Act, though. That would be interesting to look into, because we were talking about this kind of like with like the Victorian era, where while you couldn't be charged for witchcraft anymore, there was still like
this was the
accusation of being a witch, and there's still like that fear surrounding there. But I find it interesting that like
this was the first time that it would have been incited in 100 years.
Oh, shit. But this was like post like Victorian era.
Yeah, this is like 1944.
Yeah, that's post like
which is why it was so shocking. People were like, "What the fuck?" A lot of people knew that this act was severely outdated, but it was still a part of British government and law, so you could still cite it. And in this case, they decided to cite it.
Yeah, can you still cite it?
No, it's been repealed.
Okay, fair.
Which I'm gonna talk about later.
Okay.
So there are other charges that were brought under the Larceny Act, and they were and that basically meant that she was accused of taking money by, quote, falsely pretending they were in a position to bring about appearances of the spirits of deceased persons. So again, basically being like fraud psychics and like taking money for it. But all of this caused a big protest from other spiritualists.
Well, yeah.
Especially the use of the Witchcraft Act.
Yeah.
They believed that Helen was genuine and was being persecuted for her gifts, and most likely she would be found guilty no matter what. The prosecution firmly believed that she was a fraud. So the official trial took place in the winter of 1944 and lasted only 7 days.
Okay.
Many witnesses stepped forward to defend Helen. One of them, her name was Kathleen McNeil. She claimed that she attended a seance where her sister had appeared. The sister died just a few hours before after an operation, and news of her death could not have been known to Helen at the time. And at another seance, McNeil claimed that her father, quote, strode out of the spirit cabinet looking as he had when he was alive. It's important to note now that a spirit cabinet is now used as a magician's trick and is just a disappearing act.
Oh, okay.
It's basically just like a cabinet or like a concealed kind of space, and that's like, you
just kind of waltz out of there?
Yeah, it's kind of self-explanatory. I like found a video of the use of the spirit cabinet, and it's literally just a disappearing act.
It's interesting how paranormal, I guess, equipment has evolved.
Yeah.
So you get like the spirit box, made famous by Ghost Adventures and BuzzFeed Unsolved.
Yeah.
To like spirit boxes. I find that really interesting. I like that.
Did you just say spirit box to spirit box?
I don't know what I said.
Did you mean spirit cabinet to spirit box?
Yeah. Spirit box. I mean, a cabinet's kind of a box. Hey, wasn't her dad a cabinet maker?
Oh, yeah.
I catch up on things.
So 2 other witnesses were also called forward by the defense. H. Swaffer and J.W. Harries. There were no first names. Both of them were journalists. So Swaffer told the court that the ectoplasm he saw was real, and Harries claimed that he had seen Sir Arthur Conan Doyle appear at one of Helen's seances and described perfectly his features and voice. Yeah.
But he was around in the era of photography. They can describe his face.
Yeah.
And, like, wasn't he also recorded?
I don't know. Possibly.
Possibly, yeah. So that wouldn't be that hard to
It is also important to note that Doyle was a avid spiritualist.
He was, yeah.
So, like...
He was a friend of Gerald Gardner, who I mentioned previously.
Yeah. So...
Yeah, have you ever heard of the case of the fairies that, like, Conan Doyle and, like...
Didn't he write a book about the fairies?
Yeah, I actually watched a movie on that a while ago. It was one of my favorite movies as a kid, but it's, like, this, like, group of... not a group, it was an 8-year-old and I think a 12-year-old. They faked fairy photography.
Oh, yeah.
It's a very interesting thing to read up on. I forget what it's called. They want to say it's the Mayfair Fairies, but I could be very wrong on that. But the movie was called Fairy Tale.
Oh.
It was a good movie. I liked it a lot. But yeah, they faked it with, like, cardboard cutouts.
Yeah.
So as much as I would like to give Arthur Conan Doyle credit, because he's a good writer, I have his book, I don't think he was... He kind of wanted to believe that. He was fooled by a fucking cardboard cutout and a couple of little girls.
Yeah.
And I'm someone who does believe in psychics. I have tarot cards. I'm a witch. But the spiritualist movement is very interesting to me because it's just very interesting to see how these magicians basically fooled these people.
Yeah. And here's the prosecution to explain how Helen did it. So the prosecution used numerous photographs to prove that the ectoplasm that came out of Helen was actually cheesecloths, rags, and other pieces of fabric.
I can see how that would look like cheesecloth. Yeah.
So, like, even if you, like, look at some of, like, the photos of, like, her with ectoplasm coming out of her, you can clearly tell that's, like, pieces of cut cheesecloth. Mm-hmm. Like, that gauzy material.
I think she just, like, stuffed them up her nose and just, like, breathed out, like...
I will explain that. So, John Maud, he's one of the prosecution members, John Maud. Mm-hmm. He presented a piece of butter I can never say this word. Is it
muslin?
Muslin?
Or not muslin. Muslin, I think it is.
Muslin? Yeah. So he produced a piece of butter muslin and claimed that Helen swallowed the fabric, then regurgitated it during the seance.
Ugh. Gross. That's commitment, though. I'll give her that.
So here's where it gets kind of like, I think you're a fraud. Mm-hmm. So on the very first day of the trial, the defense offered for Helen to demonstrate her abilities, but it was refused by the judge, and the judge suggested that she simply testify as a witness. But that was refused by the defense because she was, quote, in a trance during the seances and couldn't remember anything, end quote. Mm-hmm. So on the last day of the trial, the judge was like, why don't you demonstrate for us? And that was refused by the defense. Mm-hmm. Which makes it seem like they were prepared to do it on the first day, and then the last day they weren't. And then it was like, do you want to do it? No.
So on the first day, did they offer to do it, though?
Yeah, they did. Like so like Helen Duncan's defense was like, she can demonstrate for you right now, and the judge was like, no. And then on the last day, the judge was like, do you want to demonstrate for us what you do? And Helen Duncan and her team was like, no.
That is very interesting. Because what I was going to say is like, well, yeah, you kind of have to like be in a very specific kind of state of mind to do psychic stuff.
Yeah.
But that does make it sound very fishy. Like,
right? I
would like to give her the benefit of the doubt, but she's making it very difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult.
Yeah.
So it took the jury 25 minutes to decide their verdict. Helen and the other mediums arrested were found guilty of conspiracy. Duncan was sentenced to serve 9 months in prison. She served her sentence at Holloway Prison. She had the longest sentence. The two of the mediums served 4 months, and then another person just had a fine and like a suspension on their practice. So the spiritualist movement was actually pretty upset by this at first, but like as more information came out, the general feeling was that a fraud had been exposed, and that many prominent figures in the movement actually ended up distancing themselves from her.
But does that still explain how she knew about the U-boat?
There wasn't, like, from what I could tell, like, there wasn't a huge explanation about what she knew about the U-boat. Like,
Mm-hmm.
She claimed that it was a sailor who came to her and told her about it, and then she went public about it
Mm-hmm.
before the War Office did.
Right.
Is pretty much all there was.
Okay.
So Helen was released from prison in September 22nd, 1944, and she announced that she was retiring, but that was a lie. She didn't retire. She continued to do private seances. In 1951, the Witchcraft Act of 1735 was repealed and replaced with the Fraudulent Mediums Act.
Oh, so there's actually an act about being a medium?
Which got repealed in 2008.
Ah.
Yeah, basically the Fraudulent Mediums Act stated that, quote, it prohibited a person from claiming to be a psychic, medium, or other spiritualist profession while attempting to deceive and to make money from the deception. And that ended up being repealed in 2008.
Okay. What caused it to be repealed?
2008?
Yeah.
I just looked at the
okay.
definition of what it was. So November 1956, however, police raided another one of Helen's seances she was holding in Nottingham. They roughly searched her looking for anything that she had previously used, such as cheesecloths, but they found nothing. Helen became really ill after this, like almost immediately afterwards, and she died 5 weeks later.
Oh my god.
Officially, the cause of death was heart failure, but some people in the spiritualist movement think that the cause was police brutality or even murder, as she had been violently interrupted during a trance, and that can be very dangerous.
Yeah.
But to this day, she's seen as a martyr to the spiritualist movement.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting case.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that she's genuine, or do you think maybe she's a fraud?
I mean, a lot of that stuff is very fraud-like.
Right?
A lot of it
regurgitating cheesecloths. Like...
Yeah. A lot of that's, yeah, but, I mean, the whole thing with the witness, there's no way that she could have known about the sister dying, the whole
the
U-boat thing. It could be possible that some of it is showbiz, some of it could be genuine.
Yeah, like the whole, like...
Possibly.
Like, there was proof that, like, one person, like, when they grabbed Peggy, it was literally, like, underwear and a clothes hanger.
Yeah, so it could be partially, like, showbiz.
Yeah.
Special effects, because... Yeah, like, watching someone who's doing, like, psychic stuff in the act can be kind of boring. Like, just, like, feeling these cards can look kind of weird.
Yeah.
Looking at a crystal ball, which I have in the background, that's literally just looking at a piece of, like, crystal for, like, 40 minutes. Putting yourself into a trance.
Yeah.
But I could understand how interrupting someone during a deep trance could be very... like, harmful.
Peaceful.
I wouldn't want to be interrupted during that. That would be very bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and so a lot of people think that it was because she was interrupted so violently that she ended up dying.
Yeah, that is quite possible, honestly.
Would you have a Bellini with Helen?
Sure.
Nice.
As long as she doesn't regurgitate any cheesecloth onto the table, I'm good.
But yeah, that's all I have for the story of Helen Duncan. You can just literally go and Google Helen Duncan, and you'll find a whole slew of photos of
whole.
I have phlegm in my throat.
Sorry, I shouldn't make fun of you.
But you can find a whole slew of photos of her ectoplasm, of her seances, and decide for yourself. Is that a used condom coming out of her nose, or an actual ghost?
Yeah.
That's my intro for next week. Hi, I'm that used condom coming out of your nose.
Gross. Please don't use that. That's even more horrible than the Reader Pennywise fic, because that was pretty cursed. I think that is the most disturbing thing we've ever talked about in this podcast. Fuck cannibalism. Fuck dying infants.
It's a used condom coming out of your nose. Alright.
Yeah.
Stay safe. Stay peachy. Don't snort condoms. Have a wonderful week.
Wonderful 2 weeks, because we're bi-weekly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, happy Spooky Saturday.
Yeah.
We love you guys.
Right. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in this week, and we hope that you enjoyed the episode. This episode features the voices of Molly Lorette and Ashley Smith. Our theme music was composed and produced by Larry Lorette. Our cover image was designed by Ashley Smith, and sound editing was done by Molly Lorette. Have any comments, concerns, or cases you want us to cover? email us at demonsandbellinis@gmail.com. You can also find us at Demons and Bellinis on Tumblr, Demons and Bellinis on Instagram, and at DBellinis on Twitter. That's capital D and capital B. You'll also be able to find case pictures tweeted out there and posted to our Instagram. Also, make sure that if you like what we do here, drop us a donation at Ko-fi, which you can find through our Twitter. Thanks again, and we hope that you keep your ears open.